The operations squadrons were designated the 570th and 571st Strategic Missile Squadrons. Each squadron was responsible for 9 missile sites and the crews that manned them. The missile crew was made up of 4 highly trained specialists. Each crew was made up of 2 officers and 2 enlisted personnel. The officers were responsible for starting the launch sequence upon receipt of a valid launch order. In addition, the crew commander and deputy crew commander directed and coordinated all activities at the missile site. The 2 enlisted crew members were the technicians of the crew. They maintained a constant check on the status of the missile and its support equipment. A typical day for a missile crew would begin at 6:30 a.m. Crew members would arrive at the wing briefing room for a briefing on scheduled maintenance, changes in technical procedures, intelligence information, and that day's strategic forces readiness condition. Following the briefing, the crews would drive to the missile site. That would be their home for the next 24 hours. Arriving at the missile site, the crew commander would call the control center from the gate phone to get permission for the crew to enter the missile site. The crew then drove to the access portal, and the crew commander went to verify that the oncoming crew had the proper authorization to enter the missile site control center. The other crew members would begin a series of daily inspections to ensure that all of the equipment on the missile site was functioning properly. After inspecting the above-ground equipment, the crew would enter an entrapment area where the electronically controlled doors would remain locked until the crew in the control center had made a visual check of the incoming crew by means of a remote-controlled television camera. Once the arriving crew had been recognized, they were allowed downstairs. The new crew then went through a series of 3-ton blast doors and into the control center. Upon entering the control center, the crew would perform a crew changeover to relieve the duty crew of their responsibility for the missile site. During this crew changeover, the relief crew was briefed on any changes that had occurred at the missile site since the relief crew's last tour. The new duty crew then began a series of checklists to test and verify the operating conditions of all equipment in the control center and launch silo. When equipment checks in the control center were accomplished, the 2 enlisted crew members would depart to inspect the launch silo equipment area. They took a radio so that communications with the control center could be maintained at all times. During their inspection of the 9-story underground launch silo, hard hats were worn to protect them from low-hanging conduits and sharp edges on equipment. A vapor sensor was checked to detect any presence of fumes from the liquid fuels that powered the engines of the ICBM. The 2 enlisted crew members then departed to inspect the 9 levels of pumps, fans, and motors that kept the Titan II in a state of constant readiness. This check of all silo equipment was made every 12 hours so that the crew could readily detect any problem that might affect the missile's launch capability. Following this shift verification, the crew spent most of their time monitoring radio messages from Strategic Air Command and the base command post, waiting for a message that never came, the message to launch their ICBM. During the 20-year history of the 390th Strategic Missile Wing, its men and women distinguished themselves by earning several high honors and awards. Among these are 3 Outstanding Unit Awards, presented for the meritorious service of the people of the 390th. Other honors included being the Best Missile Wing in the Strategic Air Command, Best Titan II Wing in the Air Force, and numerous awards for the outstanding performance of maintenance, logistics, security, and communications personnel. The men and women who made up the 390th made it possible for the wing to accomplish its mission. Thanks to the pride, dedication, and devotion to duty of these people, the Titan IIs at Davis-Monthan served their purpose, to deter aggressive actions against the United States. In July 1984, the 390th Strategic Missile Wing was officially deactivated. The missile sites are gone, and the people who worked in support of the mission have left for other Air Force assignments. Little remains to remind people that for 22 years, a select group of people stood guard 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to protect the rights and freedom that we enjoy in these United States.